Hi folks, it's Ela, and I'm going to revisit the topic of values. What do I mean by values? I mean how light or how dark a color is. So here you can see we have some dark blues. We have some blues that are kind of more in the medium range, especially this one. Then it goes lighter and lighter until it's very pale all the way eventually to white. So that is a value scale with blue. Over here I have the same thing with red. So from very pale pink to kind of a medium pink to more of a red to the very darkest red that I can get. And any picture, anything you see can be broken down into lights, mediums, and darks. You can do it with just one color. This is an exercise in beginning watercolor. I'll put a link to both of these exercises below. But you can see how this is just one color of paint. This is pretty straightforward when you're just dealing with one color. But this actually applies to any painting you're going to do. For example, this. I've got a whole range of colors here. I've got greens and reds and purpley colors and yellows, but it's not one value. You can see there's areas that are light with the yellow. You've got some more medium tones with these oranges and reds. And then we have some really deep colors like with dark purple and this black in the background. These are all different values. And as a result, this is a pretty interesting piece because there's so much going on. It's kind of exciting to look at, even though it's a very symmetrical geometric picture. So what I find is that oftentimes students will do a picture, or I've done this myself. I'm excited about some aspect of this picture I'm going to do, but I forget to think about values. I mean, I have more values going on in the background with all the splotches on my table than I do on this little picture here. So everything here is kind of in a medium range, right? There may be areas that are a tiny bit lighter or a tiny bit darker, but it's not nearly as dramatic as it is over here. So a really easy way to check and see if you do have a range of values is to go into the edit features of your phone or your computer, find saturation, and turn the saturation down. Here's a photo of this piece with the saturation turned all the way down, so it's a black and white photo. But you can see how dull this picture is when there isn't any range of value. And even when you have color that still comes through, it's going to be less interesting because you don't have any range in value. Let's see how this picture looks desaturated just for comparison. Now you can see how this picture is still interesting. It's less exciting without the color, but there's still stuff going on. You can really see the lights and the darks, and it's more engaging than the previous picture was. So when you're working on a picture, it's a really good idea when you're planning your picture before you even start to ask yourself, are there going to be any light areas in your picture? And if so, are you going to dilute the paint? Are you going to keep them just white? Are there any medium areas? What color are they going to be? Are you going to have any dark areas in your picture? How are you going to get those colors as dark as you want them to be? And you can change things, but it's a good idea to have a plan and of what you're going to do. And if you don't want a range of values, that's also fine. You don't have to use a whole range of values, but your picture is going to be a lot quieter, a lot less dynamic. Here's a picture by Rothko where he's chosen to put two colors that are very similar in value next to each other, and you can see how quiet this picture is. It's very dark. And the intention was to have a picture that was fairly meditative. Here's a painting by Morandi where all the colors are fairly similar, and your eyes are really drawn to the few areas that are dark because otherwise it's all kind of the same and very pale. So you get to have choices about how you paint your picture, but don't do it blindly. Don't do it without being aware that you're making a decision. And if you look at art or even fabrics or design in the world, you'll notice that there are a lot of lights and darks that pop up everywhere. All right, I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you try these tips on your own work.